His approval rating has been double digits underwater in surveys from the Pew Research Center, where he's minus 19, the Economist YouGov poll, where he's minus 13, the Reuters Ipsos poll, where he's minus 11, and now Fox News, where he is also minus 11. Very provocative headline there. Are things falling apart for Trump? I don't know, but let's look. Let's look at the evidence. From the Post tonight, multiple polls this week showed Trump hitting new lows. Trump was already more unpopular at this point in his presidency than any modern president not named Donald Trump. He's now flirting with falling below where he was even at this point in his historically unpopular first term.
Trump just flipped out big time after Rachel Maddow calmly took apart his election fraud lies on national TV. You know how toddlers have meltdowns when someone takes away their favorite toy? Well, imagine that, but with a 77-year-old man who used to be president.
Who might not like what they are seeing from him, but they still say they support him for now. Quote, around 6 in 10 Americans have been critical of both his tariffs and Elon Musk's roughshod efforts to cut government programs. Quote, perhaps more troubling for Trump, most of his major policies are even more unpopular than he is. That suggests his image is largely buoyed by loyalists and employees. In one poll this week, Americans said by a nearly 2-to-1 proportion that the Trump administration should abide by a court order to facilitate the return of a man wrongly deported to prison in El Salvador, Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
In this video, we're breaking down exactly what Maddow said that sent Trump into orbit. And trust me, it's not just that she disagreed with him, it's how she did it. Instead of shouting like most Trump critics, she used actual facts and that cool, collected tone that drives him absolutely bonkers. Stick around to see what happens when facts meet a fragile ego. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
As well as Trump's efforts to deport student visa holders. Quote, in some, it's all an increasing mess. That's a court order the administration is apparently flouting. Polling also suggests Americans strongly reject the Trump administration sending hundreds of men to the brutal El Salvador prison without due process. Trump might try to muddle through, including by pressing forward on tariffs and risking a constitutional crisis by challenging the courts to actually make him abide by their orders. Quote, but with the courts asserting themselves and the public taking an increasingly dim view.
You know what's really something? Trump can handle getting yelled at all day long. He actually seems to enjoy it when people scream in his face. Probably gives him material for his next rally. But what absolutely drives him up the wall? When someone calmly, methodically explains exactly why he's wrong. And that's precisely what Rachel Maddow just did on live TV. Maddow didn't come out swinging with insults or name-calling. Nope. She went full college professor mode on Trump's election fraud fantasy. It was like watching someone patiently explain to a 5-year-old why there's definitely not a fire-breathing dragon under the bed. Let's examine the evidence together, shall we? And Trump absolutely hated it. While most of Trump's critics go straight for the jugular with easy shots about his hair or his orange hue, Maddow took the road less traveled. She treated his election lies like a forensic investigator picking apart a crime scene. She didn't dismiss them. She examined them thoroughly, which is actually way more damaging in the end. It's like the difference between telling someone, your argument is stupid, versus saying, let's look closely at your argument point by point, and then watching it collapse under its own weight. What makes Maddow's approach so effective is that she doesn't rely on emotional appeals or outrage. Instead, she gives Trump's claims the serious examination they've always demanded, only to reveal there's nothing behind the curtain. It's like when a kid insists they've done their homework, and instead of yelling, no you haven't, you say, great, let's look at it together. And suddenly they're sweating bullets. Maddow's segment was basically a masterclass in Trump decoding. She laid out his entire playbook on election fraud. Make wild accusations without a shred of evidence. Repeat them until people start thinking, Well, I've heard this so many times, there must be something to it. And then seal the deal with his favorite move. Many people are saying it's like she was revealing how a magician does their tricks, and the audience was collectively going, "Oh, that's how he does it." But what really got under Trump's skin wasn't just Maddow's breakdown of his tactics. It was her focus on the real-world consequences. She didn't just talk about his lies as abstract problems. She connected them directly to what happened on January 6th. And boy, does Trump hate when people do that. It's like he wants to enjoy the power of spreading misinformation without having to own any of the chaos it creates. Trump's gotten used to being criticized, but what he can't stand is being exposed. Maddow didn't just disagree with him. She made his entire operation visible to everyone watching. It's like she turned on all the lights at a magic show. Suddenly, everyone can see the trapdoors and hidden compartments. And the magic isn't so magical anymore. His greatest hits album of delusions was getting the full track-by-track analysis, and he couldn't skip to the next song. The contrast between Maddow's calm, evidence-based approach and Trump's usual emotional fireworks creates this huge credibility gap that's impossible to ignore. Even some of his supporters must watch something like this and have that moment of, why isn't he answering the actual questions? When one person is methodically presenting facts and the other is just yelling louder, it doesn't take a genius to spot the difference. That's the brilliance of Maddow's strategy. By remaining cool and collected, she doesn't give Trump the enemy he wants. He's built his whole brand on fighting back against people who hate him. But what do you do with someone who doesn't hate you? They just calmly explain why you're incorrect. It strips away his favorite victim card. He can't claim she's being unfair or mean when she's just stating facts in the most reasonable tone possible. What makes Trump so threatened by this approach is that it exposes the emptiness behind his big claims. When someone screams at him, he can scream back. When someone insults him, he can insult them harder. But when someone calmly dissects his arguments with evidence, he's got nothing. It's like bringing a water pistol to a chess match. His usual weapons are useless in this kind of fight. Well, when Trump meets a level-headed takedown like Maddow's, his fragile ego just can't compute. It's like watching a toddler whose sandcastle of lies just got washed away by a wave of facts. The real power in Maddow's approach isn't just exposing individual fibs, it's revealing his entire playbook of institutional sabotage. Next time you're watching Trump spin his election fairy tales, remember, the antidote isn't getting all worked up like Grumpy Trumpy himself. It's calmly dissecting his claims like Maddow does. Share this video because knowing Trump's playbook is the first defense against his Democratic demolition derby. Orange Turd can't stand when we see through his con.